Hello, everyone, and welcome to Chorus of Theory quiz number 7. Okay, so this is the final week of choir year. So there's going to be one more video after this, but let's not worry about that now, because today we've got some very exciting things to do. It's a slightly different format to those before, and we're actually just going to basically go through all of the things that did come up in grades 1 and 2, but take them to the next level, take them to the level you need to know them at grades 3 and 4. So there's not really any questions per se in this quiz, but just it's more of an information video that you can just put on if you're bored, want to think about theory. So here we go. We're going to talk about time signatures first. So this is something we talked about, right at the beginning of grade 1. What does the top number in a time signature mean, and what does the bottom number in a time signature mean? Because once you know these rules, you can apply them to any time signatures. So just have a pause the video if you need to. Write down what you think these might be. So top number, of course, is how many beats there are in that bar, and the bottom number, what kind of beat we're talking about. Okay, that's all you need to know. If you're really happy with that, then you can, you'll never have a problem with any time signatures.
So we have two types of time signature. We have simple and compound. Now try and think what's the difference. It's something to do with how the beats can be split up. So have a second to think about that. So simple is when the beats can be divided into twos. So that's things in 2 or 4. So kind of like 4/4, there are 4 quartet beats. Each of those beats can be split into 2 quavers, can be split in half. Any time signature in 2/2 can be split into equal. Each minim beat can be split into 2 equal crotchets. Whereas compound are your 8s, your 6/8s. Each beat is a dotted crotchet and can be split into 3 quavers. So these are all the time signatures you need to know up to grade 4. So at the top we have our simple time signatures, are simple. So we have 2/4, 3/4, etc. And the bottom we have our compound time signatures with 8 at the bottom. So each of those, each beat can be split into 3.
Good. So scales and key signatures are what we're going to talk about next. Okay, so just remember, there's quite a subtle difference between scales and key signatures. A scale might use a key signature. A key signature might tell you what notes feature in a particular scale, okay? Because one key would have one scale associated with it. So for grade 3, you need to know all the scales and key signatures. So that's both major and minor, up to 4 sharps and flats. For grade 4, you need to go one higher, and you need to know them to 5 sharps and flats. So maybe not right now, maybe at some point either this week or over the summer, just have a go. If you need to just draw a stave on some plain paper and just draw all of these different key signatures. Okay, so up to 4 sharps and flats, there should be, obviously 4 for sharps, 4 for flats, plus no sharps and flats. So 9 different key signatures for you to write. And just make sure you're really happy with the positioning of all the sharps and flats. And then for each of them, remember there's a major key and a minor key associated with them. So I'm not going to give you any of them now, just see if you can remember and work out any that you're not 100% sure about.
So now we have intervals. So for grade 3, you need to know all the intervals above a tonic. So that means actually that the interval will be linked to the key signature given at the beginning of our exercise. So the tonic is the first note of a scale. So in C major, the tonic is C, and it's any note above it which will be counted from that C. So remember, in intervals, that's the bottom note is always 1, and then we count up from there. So the interval between a C and an E will be 3, because we go C, D, E. We need to count that bottom number. That's so important. For grade 4, it can be any interval between 2 diatonic pitches. The diatonic just means any pitch that we can play on a piano. So all the white notes and all the black notes on a piano. Any of those 2 notes, we need to be able to find the interval between. It's not always linked to the key signature at the beginning of the exercise. So that's it's a very subtle difference between those 2 grades, but very important to recognise.
So next thing we're going to talk about, ledger lines. Okay, so quite simply here, you need to be familiar with working with more than 2 ledger lines. Ledger lines are quite easy. It's just a mini extension of the stave, because we've got 5 stave lines, obviously. But if we need to go above the stave or below the stave, we just extend it for the note or notes that we need to use. And so it's just familiarity with scores. But just make sure that you're happy with ledger lines up to at least 2.
And so we have scale degrees. So this is linked to any scale. So as I said, the first note of any scale is 1. So in C major, C is 1, D is 2, etc., all the way up to 7. And so some exercises will just ask you to write the scale degrees of an exercise of a particular key. So whatever the tonic is, that is always going to be 1. However, we also need to know the technical note names of them. The first scale degree, as I've already said, is also called the tonic. So that's number 1. Whereas the 5th is called the dominant. And the 4th is the subdominant. The 2nd is the supertonic, because it says 1 above the tonic. Super meaning just above. The subdominant is 1 below the dominant. And the submediant and the mediant are a bit strange. Just have to learn those ones. But if you look at it, the mediant is a 3rd above the tonic, and the submediant is a 3rd below the tonic to 6. That's a bit complicated, but if you look at it on a piano, it makes a bit more sense. And then we have our 7th, which is our leading note, because it always has to lead towards the tonic. It always feels complete when it resolves upwards, and that's why it's called leading note. So take some time to kind of familiarize yourself with these technical note names. It is a bit complicated, but they are very useful, and I promise there is a practical use for them.
Good. So that is those are all the topics we're going to talk about today. So thank you very much for watching, and have a fantastic half term and summer, whatever format it takes. And as always, if you've got any questions about the theory quizzes or whatever, feel free to contact us on Teams or even by email. And so there's going to be one more video after this, which is one that's specifically designed for you to tap into over the summer if you want. And so that is going to have a quiz about an orchestral score. So something completely different to what we've done before. It's really, really exciting. And that will give you some more things to think about over the summer and hopefully apply some of these theory concepts. We might put out some other resources as well, some of the new topics that feature in grades 3 and 4 that we haven't talked about here. But just make sure that you're keeping things ticking over, because music theory and singing, it's like a muscle. You've got to keep practicing it, and we don't want to let it suffer as a result of not being able to do it as frequently over the summer. So here you go, lots of resources for you to do. Enjoy, and yeah, thank you very much for watching.